So for this video, I'm going to lead you through a short sequence that you can do sitting. I'm sitting on a couch, but you can sit on an ottoman or a chair. The only thing that you need would be a strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a belt, a scarf, a resistance band, or even just like a piece of clothing that you can wrap around the back of your ribs. So if you need, put the video on pause for a second and go grab something that you can use and then come back and join me. So on whatever surface you're sitting on, see if you can place your ankles directly underneath your knees so you can feel your feet against the floor, sensing into the center of the heels, the base of the big toes and the base of the baby toes. Feeling your sitting bones, feeling your seat against whatever surface it's sitting on. And let's just start by taking a few moments to come into, grounded, centered awareness. And we can do this by focusing on our breath. So your eyes can be opened or closed, and we're just feeling the breath coming in and out of the nostrils. And you might start to feel your breath somewhere else, maybe in the lungs, chest, the ribs, the belly. There's no right or wrong. Just let the breath flow. Notice where you might be holding some tension. Are the shoulders kind of creeping up towards the ears? Are the arms and hands gripping? And just see if wherever you notice tension, if you can consciously let that soften out a little bit. And if it remains tense, just note that it remains tense. And I want us to begin by focusing on the exhale first. So we're going to exhale all the air out, and you may feel the belly flatten as you exhale. And then when you can't breathe out anymore, let the inhale naturally arise from that. So let's begin exhaling all the air out. And then notice how the inhale just spontaneously arises. And moving into your exhale again. We'll do 5 of these. After you've done 5 or so, just return to your regular breath and notice what you feel. If you feel a little bit dizzy or lightheaded, it just could be that your body is not used to that practice and you haven't adapted. So maybe start with 2 or 3 rounds and then build up. So once you feel comfortable at 2 or 3, then move up to 5. Once you feel comfortable at 5, move up to keep going. And you can do that for a couple minutes. The next breathing exercise is where we're going to use our strap or belt or whatever it is that you have. And so we're going to take the strap and bring it around behind the rib cage. So if it were to wrap all the way around, it would come just underneath the breastbone. And then you're going to hold on to either side, and you're going to keep your elbows relaxed down by your side. And then with your hands, you can just create a little bit of resistance between the strap and your ribs so you can feel the pressure against your body. Then we're going to return to our breath. So this breathing exercise is called 3D breathing. And you may have done this with me before. And you're just going to feel how your body responds to your breath against the strap. And you can consciously send the breath into the rib cage so that you feel the back of the ribs pressing into the strap and the side of the ribs pressing into the strap. And if it were to come all the way around, you might feel the ribs pressing forward into the strap. So a visualization that I often share is of an umbrella inside the rib cage. So as you take your inhale, the umbrella expands in all directions, so at 360 degrees. And as you exhale, the umbrella closes, and there's kind of a recoil or an inward softening. So as you breathe in, the ribs expand out, and as you exhale, the rib cage softens in. So let's take a few more breaths, noticing what you feel. If you feel a lot of movement in through the neck or the chest, consider reducing the volume of the inhale, make it a little bit softer. If you're not feeling anything at all, you could try a few breaths in and out through the mouth like this. That exaggerates the sensation so you can see what it feels like. And then I would recommend coming back to breathing through the nose and just letting the volume be relatively gentle. You don't need to take big gulping breaths to make this happen. Last 3 rounds of breath. And then you can remove the strap and just sit and breathe quietly, noticing again what you notice, what you feel. If you don't have a strap or a belt, you can use your hands by wrapping the thumbs around the back and the fingers around the front along the sides of the ribs, or you can cross your arms wrapping the palms and fingers around the side of your ribs. And that will give you some feedback in terms of how your rib cage responds to your breath as well. So now we're going to go through a few movements. So we're going to keep the legs and the feet as they are. We'll start by bringing the palms together and maybe let the thumbs rest at the collarbone and the tips of the fingers rest at the chin. And this is just going to remind our head not to initiate the movement, and keeping the arms tucked in reminds the shoulders not to initiate the movement. So we're going to move into a twist, and where we want the movement to initiate from is through the rib cage, and that's going to require some effort through our obliques, our side waist muscles. So again, the head will follow along, the shoulders will follow along to the movement of the torso, and then the hips and the legs will stay nice and still. So if you feel something as you start to rotate, like the legs kind of twitching or tensing up, or the arms creating the movement, or the head or the eyes guiding the movement, just come back to center. Take a breath, maybe 2, and just recenter yourself, moving from a place of ease, and exploring a very gentle rotation to each side. And you can do this a few times. And notice what it feels like moving into the twist. What sensations do you notice? And then you can hold the twist, breathing gently, and notice what sensations you feel while you're holding the twist. And you can do this on both sides. Another variation is the cactus arms. So letting the elbows stay in line with the shoulders, chin stays in line with the breastbone as you rotate the ribs to one side. If the arms start to move away from lining up with the shoulder, just come back to center. Take a breath, settle first, move from a place of relaxation and ease, and then initiate the movement through the ribs and the waist. And you can do this a couple times on each side. and then back to center and releasing the arms down. The next sitting practice is a side bend. So I'm going to let one arm just hang by my side, and the opposite hand will come to the side of the head. And then we're gently bending to one side. So I'm making sure that my movement's not necessarily coming through my head, and I'm not shifting weight through my hips. It's just the side body is lengthening and only going as far as I'm not holding my breath. So breathing with ease. If you notice that the body starts to come forward or the head starts to come forward, come back and reset, and only go as far as you don't come forward. Be really gentle with yourself, really compassionate. And after a few breaths, come back to center and then switch sides, bringing the opposite hand to the side of your head and exploring your side bend. So depending on what you notice and how the body compensates, you might need to come back and reset a few times. That's perfectly fine. That's absolutely normal. And then once you find the place you can move to with ease, just hold there and breathe. If there's some pinching or discomfort in the neck or shoulders, having the hand to the side of the head, you can bring the arm down or all the way down. So you have to find what feels the most comfortable for you. Good. And then coming back to center. So if you'd like to follow up your side bend, you can always come back to a twist. And then you can repeat the side bend again. So I'm not going to do it necessarily, but just knowing that as an option, you can alternate between the two for a couple rounds. Now we're going to bring our hands onto our knees, keeping the elbows straight. We're going to move through a seated cat-cow. So I'm going to start to arch my back. I can feel like the chest is lifting, and my pelvis does tilt here. And then rounding the spine, rolling back onto the pelvis. I'm alternating between the two, but I'm only moving my spine as far as my elbow doesn't bend. So if the elbows start to bend, if the arms start to go slack, just come back and reset. So it might be a smaller movement than you're used to, or it might be a smaller movement than what you do if you're on your hands and knees. So just recognize that we're in a different position. And then notice how your breath flows with your movement. We can do 5 to 10 of these, as long as it feels good. So know that if any of these movements are not serving you on a particular day, you can totally skip them. If you feel like you need a little bit more of one and a little bit less of another, you are totally in control and can decide and adjust what it is that you need. And the same goes for the breathing exercises as well. And I want to finish off with one standing pose. I'm going to stand up. I might lose my head's coming right out of the frame here, so let me back up my camera a bit. Okay, so we're going to come to standing in our mountain pose, so the feet are about hip distance apart. And just like when we were sitting, we're going to bring our attention into our feet, sensing into the center of the heel, the base of the big toe and the base of the baby toe. Maybe a gentle bend in the knees just so they're not locked. And just feel the connection between your feet and the ground. Maybe sensing into your lower legs, the calves and the shins. Becoming aware of the knees and the thighs. Feel the whole of your legs and your feet supporting the weight of your upper body. Notice your breathing here. Soft and gentle breath. Then we're going to bring our hands to the side of the thighs, so just kind of wherever the hands land. And then gently press your outer thighs where your hands are touching into your hands. So the legs are pressing out. And you can try that a couple times and notice If that connection between your feet and the ground change, you might notice a change through your pelvis, your hips, maybe your abdomen, maybe in your legs. And hold it for a few breaths, as long as you can. And then let that relax. And then maybe one more time. And then if you feel okay standing, let's bring the feet a little bit wider apart. And we're just going to take the hips in gentle circles. So you can keep a gentle bend in the knees. I'm kind of sticking my bum back as it circles back. Just letting the arms hang, the torso is just following the direction of the hips. And you can make the movement as big or as little as you want. I'll do maybe 5 to 10 in one direction, and then switching and going the other way. So know that you can keep the movement really tiny. So if there's discomfort through the knees or the back, see if you can find a range where it doesn't hurt or it doesn't increase pain. All right? And you might just skip that one altogether. And come back to standing and notice how you feel. So a few easy practices that you can do at home. Thanks for joining me, and if you have any questions or you want to reach out, you know how to reach me. Have a great day.